The text was only 7 words long. "He broke my arm. Please help." But Ngozi didn't send it to her mother. She sent it to a man who'd killed more people than he'd ever saved. And when Min-Jun read those 7 words at 2:47 a.m., he didn't hesitate. He didn't ask questions. He simply replied, "Stay where you are, I'm coming." What happened next wasn't a rescue. It was a reckoning. Before we begin, I need to ask you something. Have you ever sent a message to the wrong person? Maybe it was embarrassing. Maybe it was awkward. But what if that mistake saved your life? Drop a comment below and tell us where you are watching from. And if this story hits you the way I think it will, subscribe. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a story about survival. It's about the moment one broken woman stopped running and started fighting back. Now, let's go back to the beginning, where it all started. The kitchen smelled like burnt garlic and regret. Ngozi stood at the sink, her hands submerged in lukewarm water that had long since lost its soap. The dishes weren't dirty. She'd already scrubbed them twice. But she kept washing, kept her fingers moving, because the second she stopped, Collins would find something else to be angry about. The apartment was small. 1 bedroom, peeling wallpaper, a refrigerator that hummed too loud. It sat on the 3rd floor of a building in a neighborhood where people didn't ask questions, where domestic disputes were background noise, where bruises were explained away with clumsy lies about stairs and door frames. Ngozi had lived here for 3 years, but it had never felt like home. Outside, the January wind rattled the windows. Chicago winters were merciless. The cold seeped through the cracks in the walls, through the duct tape Collins had slapped over the broken seal in the bedroom window. She could see her breath when she woke up in the mornings. But Collins refused to call the landlord. He said it made them look weak, like they couldn't handle their own problems. Control, that's what it was always about. Behind her, Collins sat at the small dining table, scrolling through his phone. His jaw was tight. His leg bounced under the table, an anxious rhythm that Ngozi had learned to read like a seismograph. When his leg bounced, danger was close. She didn't know what had set him off tonight. Maybe it was the way she'd smiled at a customer during her shift at Marchand's bistro. Maybe it was because she'd come home 20 minutes late due to the bus running behind schedule. Or maybe it was nothing at all. With Collins, the reason didn't matter. The explosion was inevitable. "You think I'm stupid?" His voice cut through the silence like a blade. Ngozi's hands froze in the water. "What?" "Don't play dumb with me, Ngozi." She turned slowly, water dripping from her fingers onto the cracked linoleum. Collins was still staring at his phone, but his eyes weren't moving. He wasn't reading. He was simmering. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said carefully. Her voice was steady, but her heart was already racing. He stood. The chair scraped against the floor, a sound that made her flinch. "You were texting someone." "I wasn't." "Don't lie to me." His voice exploded, filling the small kitchen. He threw his phone onto the table. It skittered across the surface and landed face down. "I saw you on your break, smiling at your phone like some teenager." Ngozi's mind raced. She had been texting, but only her mother, asking if she could send a little money this month to help with her younger brother's school fees back in Lagos. It was innocent, necessary, but Collins didn't see it that way. To him, every message was a betrayal. Every smile was evidence of infidelity. "Collins, I was texting my mom. You can check." "I don't need to check anything. I know what I saw." He moved toward her, and Ngozi instinctively backed against the counter. There was nowhere to go. The kitchen was too small. He was too close. "You think you're so smart," he hissed, his breath hot against her face. "Going to that fancy restaurant, serving rich people, acting like you're better than this. Better than me." "I never said..." His hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. Hard. His fingers dug into her skin and she gasped. "Collins, stop! You're mine, Ngozi. You understand that? Mine. Not theirs. Not your mother's. Mine." She tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. Panic clawed at her chest. She'd been here before, too many times. The escalation, the rage that came out of nowhere and consumed everything. "Let go of me," she said, her voice shaking now. "Or what?" He leaned in closer, his eyes wild. "What are you gonna do? Leave? You think you can leave me?" And then he twisted. The snap was audible, a sickening crack that echoed in the small kitchen like a gunshot. Ngozi screamed. The pain was immediate and blinding, a white-hot agony that shot up her arm and exploded in her brain. She collapsed to the floor, cradling her arm against her chest. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The world narrowed to a single point of unbearable pain. Collins stepped back, his chest heaving. For a moment, he looked almost surprised, as if he hadn't meant to go that far. But the regret, if it was even there, vanished quickly. He wiped his mouth with the back of his hand and pointed at her. "That's what happens when you disrespect me," he said coldly. Then he grabbed his jacket from the back of the chair. "I'm going out. Clean yourself up." The door slammed behind him. Ngozi lay on the kitchen floor, her body trembling, her vision blurred with tears. Her arm was bent at an unnatural angle. She could feel the bone grinding beneath the skin. She needed help. She needed to get out. But her phone, where was her phone? With her good hand, she crawled toward the counter, gasping with each movement. Her phone was on the edge of the sink, where she'd left it. She grabbed it, her fingers slick with sweat and water. She opened her messages, scrolled to her mother's contact. But her vision was swimming, her hands shaking so violently she could barely see the screen. She typed, "He broke my arm. Please help," and pressed send. But in her panic, in the fog of pain and fear, she didn't notice that she'd tapped the wrong contact. She didn't send the message to Mom. She sent it to a number she'd accidentally saved 2 weeks ago when a customer had written down his contact information on a receipt, and she'd absent-mindedly entered it into her phone under the name Table 12. The message went to a man named Min-Jun, a man who, at that very moment, was sitting in the back of a black sedan, reviewing a ledger of debts owed to his organization. A man who lived by a code older than the city itself. A man who did not tolerate the abuse of the innocent. And when his phone buzzed and he read those 7 words, everything changed. But Ngozi didn't know that yet. She only knew pain. She only knew fear. And as she lay on that cold kitchen floor, clutching her broken arm, she whispered a prayer to a God she wasn't sure was listening anymore. What she didn't know was that someone else had heard her cry for help, and he was already on his way. To understand what happened next, you need to understand 2 people, 2 lives that should never have intersected. 2 worlds built on different codes, different pain, different survival. Let's start with her. Ngozi Okafor had learned to make herself small. Not physically. She was 5'7", with the kind of presence that turned heads when she walked into a room. Her skin was the deep brown of Nigerian earth after rain. Her hair natural and coiled, her eyes sharp and observant. She was beautiful in a way that made people look twice. But beauty, she'd learned, was a currency that could be stolen, weaponized, and used against you. So she learned to shrink. She smiled less, spoke softer, moved through the world like a ghost, always apologizing, always accommodating, always making sure she didn't take up too much space. Because taking up space meant being noticed, and being noticed meant being hurt. it hadn't always been this way. 7 years ago, Ngozi had arrived in Chicago with a student visa, a scholarship to study hospitality management, and a dream that felt as big as the sky. She was 21. She was fearless. She believed that America was the place where hard work paid off, where you could reinvent yourself, where your past didn't define your future. Her parents had pooled together every naira they could spare to help her pay for the visa fees, the plane ticket, the first month's rent. Her mother had held her face in both hands at the Lagos airport and said, "You are an Okafor. We do not break. We bend, but we do not break." Ngozi had believed her, but America was not the dream. It was a grind. Her scholarship covered tuition, but not living expenses. So she worked, first at a coffee shop, then at a catering company, then at Marchand's Bistro, an upscale French fusion restaurant in Lincoln Park, where the clientele wore watches that cost more than her annual rent. She was good at her job, exceptional even. She remembered orders without writing them down, anticipated needs before customers vocalized them, and moved through the dining room with a grace that made service look effortless. Her manager, a stern woman named Delphine, had told her once, "You have the gift, Ngozi. You make people feel seen." But Ngozi didn't feel seen. She felt invisible. She met Collins during her second year in Chicago. He was a line cook at the catering company where she worked. He was handsome, 6'2", broad-shouldered, with a smile that felt like sunlight. He made her laugh. He told her she was beautiful. He said he wanted to take care of her. At first, it felt like love. He'd pick her up after her shifts, surprise her with flowers from the corner bodega, tell her stories about the restaurant he wanted to open one day. He said they'd do it together. He said she'd never have to worry about money again. But love turned to possession. It started small. Questions about where she'd been, who she'd talked to, why she was wearing a certain dress. Then it was checking her phone while she slept. Then it was isolating her from her few friends, accusing her of flirting with coworkers, of disrespecting him. And then it was violence. The first time he hit her, he cried afterward. He said he didn't know what came over him. He said his father used to hit his mother, and he'd sworn he'd never be like that. But the stress of work and money and life had broken something inside him. He begged for forgiveness. She forgave him. The second time, he didn't cry. He just said she needed to learn to listen. The third time, she stopped counting. And tonight he'd broken her arm. Lying on that kitchen floor, cradling her shattered limb, Ngozi thought about her mother's words. "We do not break." But she felt broken. She felt like every piece of herself that mattered had been slowly chipped away, until all that remained was this hollow shell that served food to rich people and went home to a man who hated her. She wanted to leave. God, she wanted to leave. But where would she go? She had no money saved. Collins controlled their finances. She had no friends left. He'd driven them all away. And her family back in Lagos? They thought she was thriving. They thought she was living the American dream. How could she tell them the truth? How could she admit that she'd failed? So she stayed, and she endured, until tonight when her body finally refused to endure anymore. Min-Jun Park did not believe in accidents. In his world, every action had intention. Every consequence had a cause. Chaos was simply an order that hadn't been understood yet. He was 34 years old, though his face carried the kind of ageless severity that made people guess older. His features were sharp, high cheekbones, a strong jaw, eyes that were almost black in certain light. His hair was cut short, practical. He wore a tailored black suit, a white shirt with no tie, and a watch that had belonged to his grandfather. He was the head of the Beko faction, a Korean organized crime syndicate that operated in the shadows of Chicago's Koreatown and beyond. They dealt in protection, information, and the kind of justice that existed outside the law. They were not thugs. They were not reckless. They were precise, strategic. And above all, they were bound by honor. Min-Jun's grandfather had founded the Beho faction in the 1970s after immigrating to Chicago and realizing that the law did not protect people who looked like him. So he created his own law, his own code. Honor above profit, loyalty above fear. Protect the weak, punish the cruel. Min-Jun had inherited that code, and he lived by it absolutely. He didn't enjoy violence, but he understood its necessity. He didn't relish power, but he wielded it with precision. He was not a good man by society's standards, but he was a just man on his own. Tonight, he was returning from a meeting with a debtor, a small-time gambler who'd borrowed money from the wrong people and hadn't paid it back. The meeting had been civil. The man had agreed to a payment plan. No blood was shed. Min-Jun preferred it that way. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. An unknown number. A message. He broke my arm. Please help. Min-Jun stared at the words. 7 words. A plea. A woman in distress. His driver, a man named Jay, glanced at him in the rearview mirror. Problem, boss. Min-Jun didn't answer immediately. He opened the message thread, checked the number. He didn't recognize it. But something about the message unsettled him. The brevity, the desperation. He broke my arm. Not I broke my arm. Not my arm is broken. Someone had done this to her. Min-Jun's jaw tightened. He typed a reply. Who is this? No response. He waited 30 seconds. Nothing. He tried calling the number. It rang and rang. No answer. Jay spoke again. Boss? Min-Jun's mind worked quickly. This could be a trap, a setup, someone trying to lure him into a vulnerable position. It had been tried before, but his instincts told him otherwise. There was something raw about the message, something unfiltered. This wasn't a calculated move. This was panic. He made a decision. Trace this number, he said to Jay. Find out where it's coming from. Jay nodded, pulling out his own phone. Within 2 minutes, he had a location. South Side. The address is 2487 West Archer Avenue, 3rd floor apartment. Min-Jun nodded. Drive. Boss, we don't know what this is. I know what it is, Min-Jun said quietly. His voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. Someone is hurt, and they asked for help. That's all I need to know. Jay hesitated, then put the car in gear. As they drove through the cold Chicago night, Min-Jun stared at the message again. He broke my arm. Please help. In his grandfather's code, there was a rule that superseded all others. When the innocent cry out, you answer. And Min-Jun always kept his word. But what Min-Jun didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that walking into that apartment would set in motion a chain of events that would put a target on both their backs. And the man who broke Ngozi's arm, he wasn't done, not by a long shot. There are moments in life when everything splits into before and after, when a single decision rewrites your entire story. For Ngozi, that moment was lying helpless on the kitchen floor. For Min-Jun, it was climbing 3 flights of stairs toward a stranger's scream. Neither of them knew it yet, but there was no going back. The building smelled like mildew and old cooking oil. Min-Jun moved through the dimly lit hallway with the quiet efficiency of a man who'd walked through worse. Jay followed 2 steps behind, his hand resting inside his jacket where his weapon was holstered. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. 3rd floor, Apartment 3C. The door was cheap, hollow core, thin wood, a single deadbolt that wouldn't stop a determined kick. Min-Jun could hear nothing from inside. No television, no voices, just silence. He knocked. 3 firm raps. "Hello, this is Min-Jun Park. You sent me a message." Nothing. He knocked again, harder this time. "I'm here to help. Please open the door." Still nothing. Jay leaned in. "Could be a trap, boss. Could be she's already gone." Min-Jun's jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone, redialed the number. Inside the apartment, he heard it. A faint buzzing. A phone vibrating against a hard surface. She was in there. "Step back," Min-Jun said. Jay moved aside. Min-Jun tested the doorknob, locked as expected. He examined the frame, the hinges, and the weak points. Then he took 2 steps back and drove his heel into the door just beside the lock. The frame splintered. The door flew open. They entered, Jay first, scanning for threats. The apartment was small, poorly lit, and reeked of burnt food and something else, fear. The kind of fear that soaked into walls and furniture. "Clear," Jay said, checking the bedroom and bathroom. Min-Jun moved toward the kitchen. And that's when he saw her. Ngozi was curled on the linoleum floor, her body trembling, her right arm bent at an angle that made Min-Jun's stomach tighten. Her face was streaked, with tears, her eyes half closed. She was conscious, but barely. Min-Jun knelt beside her immediately. "Miss, can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open. They were wide, glassy with pain and shock. She tried to speak, but only a soft whimper escaped. "Don't move," Min-Jun said gently. His voice, usually cold and precise, softened. "You're safe now. I'm going to help you." He examined her arm without touching it. Compound fracture, likely. The bone hadn't broken through the skin, but the displacement was severe. She needed a hospital. Immediately. "Jay, call Dr. Yoon. Tell him we're bringing someone in. Broken arm. Possible shock." Jay nodded and stepped into the hallway to make the call. Min-Jun turned back to Ngozi. "My name is Min-Jun. You texted me, do you remember?" She blinked, confusion mixing with the pain in her eyes. I thought my mom." "You sent it to the wrong number," Min-Jun said. "But I'm here now, and I'm going to get you out of here." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "He'll come back. He'll kill me. He said, if I ever..." "Who?" Min-Jun's voice was calm, but his eyes had gone hard. "Who did this to you?" "Collins, my husband." Min-Jun's expression didn't change, but something shifted in the air around him. Jay, returning from the hallway, caught the look on his boss's face and knew immediately someone was going to pay for this. "Where is he now?" Min-Jun asked. "I don't know. He left. He always leaves after..." She couldn't finish the sentence. Min-Jun stood. "Jay, get a photo of this apartment. Everything. The door, the kitchen, her injuries. Document it all." "On it." Min-Jun crouched back down beside Ngozi. "I'm going to pick you up now. It's going to hurt. I'm sorry." She nodded weakly. He slid one arm beneath her shoulders, the other under her knees, and lifted her with surprising gentleness. She cried out as the movement jostled her arm, and Min-Jun's jaw clenched. "I know. I'm sorry. Just hold on." He carried her out of the apartment, down the 3 flights of stairs, and into the cold January night. Jay had pulled the sedan up to the curb. Min-Jun placed Ngozi carefully in the back seat, then climbed in beside her. As Jai drove, Min-Jun removed his suit jacket and draped it over Ngozi's shivering body. She was going into shock. Her skin was clammy, her breathing rapid and shallow. "Stay with me," he said firmly. "Look at me. What's your name?" "Ngozi," she whispered. "Ngozi. That's a beautiful name. Nigerian?" She nodded weakly. "I had a business associate from Lagos once. Good man, honorable." Min-Jun kept talking, keeping her conscious, keeping her focused. "You're going to be okay, Ngozi. I promise you that. Do you understand?" "Why?" Her voice was barely audible. "Why are you helping me?" Min-Jun was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Because someone should have helped my mother, and no one did." Ngozi's eyes widened slightly, but before she could respond, the car pulled up to an unmarked building in Koreatown. Dr. Yoon was not a hospital doctor. He was the kind of doctor who asked no questions, kept no records, and treated patients that the system had failed or abandoned. He'd patched up bullet wounds, knife injuries, and worse. He'd delivered babies in back rooms and performed surgeries on kitchen tables. But he was a real doctor, trained in Seoul, licensed before circumstances brought him to Chicago's underworld, and he was damn good at his job. He met them at the door, ushered them into his clinic, a clean, well-equipped space that smelled of antiseptic and ginger tea. "Exam room 2, Dr. Yoon said, his English accented but clear. He looked at Ngozi, then at Min-Jun. "What happened?" "Domestic violence, broken arm, possible shock." Dr. Yoon's face hardened. He'd seen too many women like this, too many victims who fell through the cracks. "Put her on the table." Min-Jun laid Ngozi down as gently as he could. Dr. Yoon immediately began his examination, checking her pupils, her pulse, her breathing. Then he carefully cut away her sleeve to examine the arm. "Radius and ulna, both fractured. Clean breaks, fortunately. I can set them, but she'll need a cast and pain management. Has she eaten recently?" Min-Jun looked at Ngozi. She shook her head weakly. "I'll start an IV, get some fluids and mild sedation in her. This is going to hurt, even with the medication." Dr. Yoon worked quickly and efficiently. He inserted an IV, administered medication, and within minutes, Ngozi's breathing had slowed, the sharp edge of panic dulling into a hazy calm. Min-Jun stood in the corner, watching. Jay had left to make phone calls, to gather information on Collins, to alert the rest of the organization that something was in motion. As Dr. Yoon set the bones and applied the cast, Ngozi drifted in and out of consciousness. But once, her eyes found Min-Jun's across the room. "Thank you," she mouthed. He nodded once. A promise. 2 hours later, Ngozi was sleeping in the recovery room. Dr. Yoon had given her something stronger for the pain, and she'd finally surrendered to exhaustion. Min-Jun sat in Dr. Yoon's office, drinking green tea that had gone cold. Jay entered, holding a tablet. "Got the intel on Collins Reed, 32 years old. Works as a line cook at a catering company downtown. No serious criminal record, but 2 domestic disturbance calls to that address in the past year. Both times, no charges filed." Min-Jun's expression darkened. "Because she was too afraid to press them." "Likely. There's more." Jay swiped the screen. "He's got a gambling problem. Owes money to a loan shark named Dmitry Volkov. Russian operation. Nasty piece of work." Min-Jun leaned forward. "How much?" 15,000. Due 2 weeks ago." "And Volkov's known for?" "Breaking bones when people don't pay." Min-Jun's eyes narrowed. "So Collins is desperate, violent. and in debt to someone who'll kill him if he doesn't pay up. That's the profile. Min-Jun stood, pacing slowly. Where is he now? Tracked his phone to a bar on Halstead. Been there for 3 hours. Drinking heavy, according to our contact. Min-Jun was silent for a long moment. Then he said, I want eyes on him, 24/7. I want to know everywhere he goes, everyone he talks to, every move he makes. You thinking he'll come back for her? I know he will. Men like that always do. They can't let go. They'd rather destroy what they love than see it walk away. Jay nodded. What do we do when he shows up? Min-Jun's voice was quiet, but absolute. We make sure he never hurts. But Collins wasn't just a violent husband. He was a man with nothing to lose. And when Ngozi woke up the next morning in a strange room, wrapped in blankets that smelled like sandalwood and safety, she had no idea that the biggest question wasn't whether Collins would come back. It was what she would do when he did. Before we continue, I want to ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew staying was dangerous, but leaving felt impossible? Maybe it wasn't physical abuse. Maybe it was emotional, financial, or psychological. Drop a comment and share your story. Because someone reading this right now needs to know they're not alone. Healing isn't linear. It's messy. It's painful. And sometimes it happens in the most unexpected places. For Ngozi, healing began in a room that didn't belong to her, under the protection of a man who shouldn't have cared. But he did, and that changed everything. Ngozi woke to silence. Not the oppressive silence of Collins's anger, but a different kind, peaceful, almost gentle. Her arm throbbed, a dull ache that reminded her immediately of what had happened. She opened her eyes slowly, blinking against the soft morning light filtering through cream-colored curtains. This wasn't her apartment. The room was clean, minimalist. A low platform bed with crisp white linens. A single painting on the wall. Abstract, all blues and grays like water and sky. A wooden dresser, a chair in the corner where someone had draped a blanket. Where was she? Panic flickered in her chest. But then she remembered. The text message, the wrong number. The man who'd carried her out of hell. Min-Jun. She sat up slowly, her casted arm heavy and awkward. Someone had changed her clothes. She was wearing soft cotton pajamas that weren't hers, and her work uniform was folded neatly on the chair. The door opened quietly. A woman entered, middle-aged with kind eyes and silver-streaked hair pulled into a bun. She carried a tray, with a bowl of soup, rice, and tea. "You're awake," the woman said in accented English. "Good. You need to eat." Ngozi's voice came out hoarse. "Where am I?" "Somewhere safe." The woman set the tray on the bedside table and helped Ngozi adjust the pillows behind her back. "My name is Mrs. Han. I work for Mr. Park. He asked me to look after you." "Mr. Park? Min-Jun?" Mrs. Han nodded. "He brought you here last night. Dr. Yoon set your arm? You've been sleeping for 10 hours. 10 hours? Ngozi's mind raced. "I need to go. You need to rest." Mrs. Han's voice was firm but gentle. "Your husband doesn't know where you are. Mr. Park made sure of that." The mention of Collins sent a chill through Ngozi's body. "He'll be looking for me. He'll be angry. You don't understand what he's capable of. Mr. Park understands." Mrs. Han picked up the spoon, dipped it into the soup. "And he is capable of more. Now eat. You're too thin." Ngozi wanted to argue, but the smell of the soup, rich, savory, filled with vegetables and beef, made her stomach clench with sudden hunger. She realized she hadn't eaten since her shift at Marchand's the day before. Mrs. Han fed her slowly, patiently, like a mother tending to a sick child. And Ngozi, who'd spent years fending for herself, felt something crack inside her chest. Tears slipped down her cheeks, silent and unexpected. Mrs. Han said nothing. She simply handed Ngozi a tissue and continued feeding her. After breakfast, Mrs. Han helped Ngozi to the bathroom and then gave her a tour of the space. It wasn't an apartment, it was a penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Chicago skyline. The furniture was expensive but understated. Everything was clean, organized, intentional. "This is Mr. Park's home?" Ngozi asked, stunned. "One of them," Mrs. Han said. "He has another property in Koreatown. This is where he comes when he needs quiet." Ngozi felt suddenly intrusive. "I shouldn't be here. This is too much. Mr. Park insisted. And when Mr. Park insists, we listen." They moved into the kitchen, where Mrs. Han prepared tea. Ngozi sat at the island, her casted arm resting on the cool marble surface. "Why is he doing this?" Ngozi asked quietly. "He doesn't know me. I'm nobody." Mrs. Han looked at her sharply. "You're not nobody. And Mr. Park doesn't help people because of who they are. He helps people because of who he is." Before Ngozi could respond, the front door opened. Min-Jun entered, dressed in a dark gray suit, his expression unreadable. He set his briefcase on the entry table and removed his shoes, a small cultural habit that felt strangely intimate in the moment. He saw Ngozi and paused. "You're awake. How's the pain?" "Manageable," she said, though it wasn't entirely true. Min-Jun nodded to Mrs. Han. "Thank you. I'll take it from here." Mrs. Han bowed slightly and disappeared into another part of the penthouse. Min-Jun poured himself a glass of water and leaned against the counter across from Ngozi. For a moment, neither spoke. "I need to ask you something," Min-Jun finally said. "And I need you to be honest with me." Ngozi's heart rate picked up. "Okay. How long has he been hurting you?" The question was direct, clinical, but there was something underneath it, something that felt like barely contained anger. Ngozi looked down at her hands. 3 years. Min-Jun's jaw tightened. "And you never called the police?" "I tried, once. They came, asked questions, but Collins was calm, charming. He told them I'd fallen, that I was clumsy. They believed him." Her voice cracked. "And when they left, he made sure I'd never call them again." Min-Jun was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "That won't happen anymore." "You can't promise that." "I can, and I do." He set down his glass. "Collins Reed will never touch you again. I'm going to make sure of it." Ngozi looked up at him, searching his face for deception, for ulterior motives. But all she saw was cold, unshakable resolve. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you care?" Min-Jun's expression softened, just slightly. "Because when I was 8 years old, I watched my father beat my mother unconscious. And I was too small, too weak to stop him. I swore that day that I would never be powerless again, and I would never let another woman suffer the way she did." Ngozi's breath caught. "Your mother, is she—" "She survived, barely. But she left him eventually. Came to America with me and my grandfather. Built a new life." Min-Jun's eyes met hers. You deserve the same chance." Over the next hour, Min-Jun laid out a plan. First, Ngozi would stay at the penthouse until they could secure safe, permanent housing for her. No negotiations. Second, she would not contact Collins, her workplace, or anyone who might leak her location. Third, Min-Jun's people would monitor Collins. The moment he made a move toward finding her, they would know. "And then what?" Ngozi asked. "What happens when you find him?" Min-Jun's expression darkened. "That depends on him." Ngozi felt a chill. She understood now what Min-Jun was. The expensive suit, the quiet authority, the way Mrs. Han and Jay moved around him with deference. This wasn't a businessman. This was something else. She hesitated. "You're not just helping me out of kindness, are you? You're part of something." Min-Jun didn't deny it. "I am. But that doesn't change the fact that what happened to you was wrong. And it doesn't change the fact that I meant what I said. You're safe here." Ngozi wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. But safety felt like a foreign concept. "What if I want to leave?" she asked. "What if I want to go back?" "Then I'll drive you myself." Min-Jun's voice was steady. "I won't hold you here. But I will ask you to think carefully about what you're going back to. Because men like Collins don't change, Ngozi. They escalate. And the next time, you might not be able to send a text." The truth of his words settled over her like a weight. She thought about Collins, about the years of walking on eggshells, of apologizing for existing, of believing that somehow she deserved the pain. And then she thought about last night, the crack of her bone breaking, the cold kitchen floor, the terror of knowing that this time he might not stop. "I can't go back," she whispered. "Then you won't." That afternoon, while Ngozi rested, Min-Jun received a call from Jay. "Boss, we've got movement. Collins just filed a missing persons report." Min-Jun's eyes narrowed. "When?" "An hour ago. Told the cops his wife didn't come home last night. He's playing the concerned husband." "Smart. Establishes a narrative." Min-Jun paced his office. "What else?" He also called Marchand's bistro. Told them Ngozi wouldn't be coming in for a while due to a family emergency. The manager, Delphine, didn't buy it. She tried calling Ngozi directly, but the phone's off. Min-Jun nodded. "Good. Keep it that way. What about Volkov?" "Dimitri's enforcer showed up at Collins' apartment this morning. Gave him 48 hours to come up with the 15 grand or things get ugly." Min-Jun stopped pacing. An idea was forming. "Does Collins know we have Ngozi?" "No indication. But he's desperate. He's going to start looking." "Let him look." Min-Jun's voice was cold. "But make sure he doesn't find anything. And Jay?" "Yeah, boss?" "Get me everything on Dmitry Volkov. Every debt, every operation, every weak point. I want to know what leverage we have." "You thinking what I think you're thinking?" "I'm thinking Collins has two problems, and we can use one to solve the other." That evening, Ngozi couldn't sleep. Her arm ached despite the pain medication, and her mind raced with anxious thoughts. She wandered out of the guest room and found Min-Jun standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, a glass of whiskey in his hand, staring out at the city lights. "Can't sleep?" he asked without turning. "No." She joined him at the window, keeping a respectful distance. "You?" "I don't sleep much." They stood in silence for a moment. "This view," Ngozi said softly. "It's beautiful." "It's a reminder," Min-Jun said, "that the world is bigger than our problems. doesn't make the problems go away, but it gives perspective. Ngozi glanced at him. In the dim light, his profile was striking, sharp and serious, but there was something almost sad in his eyes. "Your mother," she said carefully. "Did she ever heal from what your father did?" Min-Jun took a slow sip of his whiskey. "Physically, yes. Emotionally, I don't know. She never talked about it, just kept moving forward. She told me once that survival is a choice you make every day. Some days are harder than others, but you keep choosing." "That's what I've been doing," Ngozi said. "Surviving. But I'm tired. I'm so tired of just surviving." Min-Jun turned to look at her. Really look at her. "Then don't just survive. Live." "I don't even know what that means anymore." "You will." His voice was quiet but certain. "I'll help you remember." Something passed between them in that moment. Not attraction, not yet, but recognition. Two people who'd been shaped by violence, trying to carve out something better. Ngozi smiled, just a little. The first real smile she'd managed in months. "Thank you, Min-Jun, for everything." He nodded once. "Get some rest. Tomorrow, we start building your new life." But building a new life meant confronting the old one. And Collins Reed wasn't the type of man to let go quietly. What Ngozi didn't know was that while she was learning to breathe again, Collins was making plans of his own. Plans that involved gasoline, matches, and a rage that had been festering for days. The clock was ticking. There's a moment in every story where the victim becomes something else. Not a hero, not yet, but something harder, something sharper. For Ngozi, that transformation began not with violence, but with memory, with roots she'd almost forgotten, and with a man who understood that true power isn't about control, it's about choice. 1 week had passed since Min-Jun carried Ngozi out of her apartment. 7 days of healing, 7 days of silence from Collins, 7 days of learning to breathe without fear pressing down on her chest. But Ngozi wasn't naive. She knew the silence wouldn't last. Min-Jun had set her up in the penthouse's second bedroom, which Mrs. Han had transformed into something resembling home. Warm blankets, books, a small television. But more than that, Min-Jun had done something unexpected. He'd asked her what she needed to feel whole again. The question had caught her off guard. No one had asked her that in years. Collins had always told her what she needed. His approval, his forgiveness, his control, but Min-Jun was different. He waited, he listened, and when she finally answered, her voice shaking, "I need to remember who I was before him." Min-Jun simply nodded and said, "Then let's find her." Mrs. Han knocked on Ngozi's door early that morning, carrying a large box wrapped in brown paper. "From Mr. Park," she said, setting it on the bed. Ngozi unwrapped it carefully with her good hand. Inside were things she hadn't seen in years. Things she'd thought were lost. A traditional Nigerian gale, head wrap in deep purple and gold. A book of Igbo proverbs her mother had given her before she left Lagos. A small wooden carving of an Igbo goddess, Allah, the earth deity, that she'd kept on her dorm room desk during college. And a phone, her old phone, the one Collins had smashed 2 years ago during a fight. Somehow, Min-Jun had retrieved it from storage, and somehow, his people had recovered the data. Tears blurred Ngozi's vision as she scrolled through the restored photos. Her graduation from culinary school, pictures with her family in Lagos, selfies with friends she'd lost touch with, images of a younger version of herself who smiled without fear. There was a note tucked into the box, written in precise handwriting. You are not who he made you. You are who you've always been. Don't forget her, MJ. Ngozi pressed the note to her chest and wept. Not from sadness, but from something deeper. Gratitude, recognition, hope. That afternoon, Min-Jun found Ngozi in the kitchen, attempting to cook one-handed. "What are you making?" he asked. "Jollof rice, or trying to." She gestured to the ingredients spread across the counter. "It's been so long since I've cooked for myself. Collins always said my food was too spicy, too ethnic, so I stopped making it." Min-Jun leaned against the counter. "May I help?" She looked at him, surprised. "You cook?" "My grandmother insisted. She said a man who cannot feed himself is a man who cannot stand alone." Together they prepared the meal, Ngozi directing, Min-Jun chopping tomatoes and onions with the precision of someone trained with knives for different purposes. They moved around each other with surprising ease, and for the first time in years, Ngozi felt like herself. As the rice simmered, filling the penthouse with the smell of tomatoes, peppers, and spices, Min-Jun said, "Tell me about Lagos, about your family." And Ngozi did. She told him about her parents' small house in the Surulere district, about her younger brother who wanted to be an engineer, about the markets where her mother sold fabric, about the churches that rang with music every Sunday morning, about the way the rain sounded on corrugated metal roofs during monsoon season. She told him about dreams she'd had. Dreams of opening her own restaurant that would blend Nigerian and American cuisine. Dreams of bringing her family to visit Chicago. Dreams of a life where she wasn't afraid. Min-Jun listened to every word, his dark eyes intent. And when she finished, he said, "Those dreams aren't dead, Ngozi. They're just waiting." "But I'm not the same person who had them." "No, you're stronger now. You've survived what should have broken you. That makes you dangerous." Ngozi laughed, a real laugh, startled and genuine. "Dangerous? Me?" Min-Jun's expression was serious. "The most dangerous people I know are the ones who have nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. You're becoming one of them." Something shifted in Ngozi's chest. A spark. A flicker of something she'd thought Collins had extinguished forever. Anger. Not the helpless, terrified anger of a victim, but something colder, sharper. "I want to learn," she said suddenly. "Learn what?" "To defend myself, to fight back. I don't ever want to be powerless again." Min-Jun studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "I'll teach you." While Ngozi was rediscovering herself, Collins was unraveling. He'd spent the last week drinking, gambling, and spiraling deeper into debt. Dmitry Volkov's enforcer had visited him twice more, each time with escalating threats. The last visit had ended with a broken finger and a message. "You have 3 days." But Collins wasn't thinking about Dmitry. He was thinking about Ngozi. She was gone, vanished. And despite filing a missing person report, the police had been useless. They'd checked hospitals, morgues, shelters, nothing. It was like she'd evaporated into thin air. At first, he'd been angry, then confused, then paranoid. Someone had helped her. Someone had hidden her. But who? He started retracing her steps. Went to Marchand's bistro and harassed Delphine, demanding to know if Ngozi had mentioned anyone. Delphine had threatened to call the police, and Collins had barely restrained himself from flipping the table. He checked her phone records, but her phone was off, untraceable. He went back to their apartment, searching for clues, and that's when he found it, a small card tucked behind the refrigerator. It must have fallen there during the struggle. On it was a name and number, written in precise handwriting. Table 12, Min-Jun Park. Collins stared at the name. He didn't recognize it, but something about it felt significant. Foreign, dangerous. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "Yeah, it's me. I need you to find someone. Name's Min-Jun Park. Korean, probably. I think he's got my wife." The voice on the other end, rough, Russian accented, laughed. "You think I'm directory assistance?" "Victor, please. I'll pay you. I just need an address." "You don't have money to pay me. You owe Dmitri 15 grand. "I'll get it. I swear. Just help me find this guy." There was a long pause. Then, "Fine, but you bring me half the money by tomorrow, or I break more than your finger. Understood?" "Understood." Collins hung up and stared at the card in his hand. Min-Jun Park. He didn't know who this man was, but he was about to find out. And when he did, he was going to make sure Ngozi paid for leaving him. That evening, Min-Jun called Ngozi into his office. It was the first time she'd been in this part of the penthouse, a private space with dark wood furniture, shelves lined with books in Korean and English, and a large desk covered in papers and ledgers. "Sit," he said, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. She sat, nervous. "Is something wrong?" Min-Jun slid a folder across the desk. "I had my people do some research. About you, about Collins. I need you to see something." Ngozi opened the folder with her good hand. Inside were documents, marriage license, police reports, medical records she didn't remember authorizing. But there was something else, a photograph, Collins with another woman, at a bar, kissing. Ngozi's breath caught. "That was taken 3 months ago," Min-Jun said quietly. "Her name is Shanice Williams. She works at the catering company with him. According to our sources, they've been involved for at least 6 months." Ngozi stared at the photo. She should have felt pain, betrayal, but all she felt was a strange, cold clarity. "He was cheating on me," she said flatly. "Yes. While he was accusing me of cheating, while he was breaking my bones for imagined betrayals. Yes." Ngozi closed the folder slowly. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I want you to understand something." Min-Jun leaned forward, his voice intense. "Nothing you did caused this. Not your smile, not your kindness, not your existence. Collins is broken. He was broken before you met him. And you cannot fix broken men, Ngozi. You can only save yourself from them." Ngozi felt something crack inside her. The last piece of guilt, of self-blame, of the voice that whispered, maybe if I'd just been better, quieter, smaller. "I'm done feeling guilty," she said, her voice steady. "I'm done being afraid." "Good." Min-Jun stood. "Because tomorrow, we start your training. And in 3 weeks, you're going to walk back into Marchand's bistro with your head high, and you're going to reclaim your life." "What about Collins?" Min-Jun's expression went cold. "Let me worry about Collins." Over the next 10 days, Ngozi transformed. Min-Jun arranged for a self-defense instructor, a woman named Ji Hye, who'd trained military personnel and didn't believe in going easy on students. Despite her casted arm, Ngozi learned to use her voice as a weapon, to identify exits, to strike vulnerable points, to move with purpose. She also met with a therapist, Dr. Chen, who specialized in trauma recovery. The sessions were painful, forcing Ngozi to confront years of abuse she'd normalized. But slowly, she began to separate Collins's voice from her own thoughts. And through it all, Min-Jun was there. Not hovering, not controlling, but present. He'd check in during breakfast, ask about her progress, share stories about his own journey toward strength. They'd cook together in the evenings. Ngozi teaching him Nigerian dishes, Min-Jun teaching her Korean recipes his grandmother had passed down. Food became their language, and through it, something deeper grew. One night, as they sat on the balcony overlooking the city, Ngozi said, "I'm scared." Of what? That I'll go back to him. That when I see Collins again, I'll remember what it felt like to love him, and I'll forget what it felt like when he broke me. Min-Jun turned to face her. Love doesn't break bones, Ngozi. What you felt for him wasn't love. It was survival instinct, dressed up as devotion. How do you know? Because real love makes you bigger. It doesn't make you small. Ngozi looked at him, really looked at him, at this dangerous, complicated man who'd saved her without asking for anything in return. "Have you ever been in love?" she asked. Min-Jun was quiet for a long moment. Then, once, a long time ago, she died. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. She taught me that love is worth the risk, even when it ends in pain." He met Ngozi's eyes. "You deserve that kind of love, the kind that doesn't hurt." And in that moment, sitting on a balcony overlooking a city of lights, Ngozi felt something she hadn't felt in years. Possibility. But possibility has a way of attracting danger. Because while Ngozi was building her new life, Collins was tearing through the city like a man possessed, following a trail that would lead him straight to Min-Jun's door. And when these two men finally met, only one of them would walk away. But possibility has a way of attracting danger. Because while Ngozi was building her new life, Collins was tearing through the city like a man possessed, following a trail that would lead him straight to Min-Jun's door. Collins had spent 2 days tracking down information on Min-Jun Park. What he'd found terrified him. Victor, Dimitri's enforcer, had laughed when Collins mentioned the name. "You're messing with the Beko faction? You're dumber than I thought." "What's Beko?" "Korean Mafia, you idiot. Min-Jun Park isn't just connected, he runs things. You go after him, you better have an army, or a death wish." But Collins didn't care about armies or death wishes. He cared about Ngozi, about the fact that she'd left him, about the humiliation of losing control. He stared at the address Victor had finally given him, for a price Collins couldn't afford, adding another $5,000 to his debt. Lakeview, penthouse, 847 West Diversey. Collins picked up a bottle of lighter fluid from the table. Next to it sat a box of matches and a rag stuffed into an empty beer bottle. If he couldn't have Ngozi, no one would. While at Min-Jun's penthouse. Ngozi smiled at something Min-Jun said, and for the first time in years, the smile reached her eyes. "Thank you," she said softly, "for giving me my life back." Min-Jun's expression was unreadable. "You gave it back to yourself. I just provided the space." Inside the penthouse, Min-Jun's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Jay's name flashed on the screen. Min-Jun stood, excusing himself. He answered the call. "Talk to me." Jay's voice was urgent. "Boss, we've got a problem. Collins just withdrew his last $200 from an ATM in Lakeview. He's 10 blocks from your location." Min-Jun's entire body went still. "When?" 15 minutes ago. And boss, he bought lighter fluid and matches from a convenience store on Clark Street. Surveillance caught it on camera." Min-Jun's jaw clenched. He glanced back at the balcony where Ngozi sat, peaceful and unaware. Get everyone here. Now. I don't care who you pull from where. I want this building locked down in 5 minutes. On it. Min-Jun ended the call and walked back to the balcony, his expression carefully neutral. Ngozi, I need you to go inside. She looked up at him, confused by the sudden shift in his tone. What's wrong? Nothing I can't handle, but I need you to trust me. Go to your room. Lock the door. Don't come out until I tell you it's safe. Fear flickered across her face. It's Collins, isn't it? He found us. Min-Jun didn't lie to her. Yes. Ngozi stood, her heart racing. What are you going to do? Min-Jun's eyes were cold, lethal. What I should have done the moment I read your text. For 7 years, Collins Reed had controlled Ngozi through fear, through violence, through the promise that if she ever tried to leave, he would find her. He would punish her. He would make sure she understood that she belonged to him. But Collins made one fatal mistake. He came for a woman who was no longer alone, and the man standing between them? He'd built his entire life on a single principle. When you come for the innocent, you answer to me. What happens when a desperate man with nothing to lose meets a calculated killer with everything to protect? Part 2 drops in 48 hours. And trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next. Because this isn't just about revenge. It's about rebirth. Hit that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications, and drop a comment telling me what would you do if you were Ngozi at this moment? Run, hide, or fight? I'll see you in part 2, where the real reckoning begins. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you are never as powerless as someone made you believe. See you soon. Take care of yourself.